Hello, welcome again to Virtual Space 3D. I'm Amanda Bush. Our report this month begins with two very sad events from the world of commercial space transportation. Continues with stories about the European comet chaser Rosetta and ends with a report on the latest Chinese moon probe. Nice to have you with us. Since 2004, Virgin Galactic has been sponsoring the development of the Spaceship Two rocket plane. The Spaceship Two will take 6 passengers and 2 pilots straight up to 100 kilometers, the border to space, and then back down again. Nearly 800 people have reserved tickets for these suborbital space flights. After many years of delays, the final set of powered flight tests were to be carried out over the next several months, and the first paid passenger flights were expected to happen as early as the spring of 2015. On October 31, a Virgin Galactic Spaceship Two rocket plane was taken to about 12 kilometers in altitude by its White Knight II carrier aircraft and dropped. The test flight operation was run by the company Scaled Composites, which built both vehicles for Virgin Galactic. A few seconds after its release, the 2 pilots fired the hybrid rocket engine and the vehicle quickly accelerated past the White Knight II. The powered phase was expected to last about 30 seconds. However, after about 10 seconds the plane became unstable and quickly disintegrated. The vehicle did not have ejection seats, but one pilot, Peter Siebold, was somehow thrown from the cockpit and he fell through near vacuum until at around 4 kilometers altitude his parachute automatically opened. He survived with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Unfortunately, the co-pilot did not survive and was found still strapped to his seat in the cockpit. Debris from the vehicle was spread over several kilometers. In a normal flight, the Spaceship Two re-enters the atmosphere after it has reached space by folding its rear wings up into a V shape. This V configuration is called the feather mode. This high-drag configuration acts like a shuttlecock in badminton and requires no actions by the pilot to maintain a safe orientation as it falls from space. Once the vehicle reaches a low altitude, the wings are folded back in place and the vehicle glides to a landing. The investigation thus far has determined that the co-pilot for some unknown reason mistakenly unlocked the feather system when the vehicle had reached Mach 1.0. Normally a second lever must be turned before the feather can become activated, but the turbulence is so severe at Mach 1, the feather can be jerked into action regardless. This appears to be what happened. If the unlocking had occurred just 3 or 4 seconds later, the vehicle would have been in near vacuum with very little turbulence. The investigation will continue for many months. It could be, for example, that the co-pilot had incorrect information displayed to him regarding the speed of the vehicle. Other possible problems with the vehicle will also be examined. Virgin Galactic currently has a second Spaceship Two that is 65% completed. Richard Branson and the management of Virgin Galactic appear determined to fix the problems that led to this accident and to resume flight tests as early as next summer. Over the past 100 years there have been an enormous number of fatal accidents in the course of making aviation as amazingly safe as it is today. The pioneers of commercial spaceflight must persevere as well through difficult setbacks if humanity is to attain the means to expand into space and reap its infinite rewards. The other disaster occurred on October 28 when a rocket carrying cargo to the International Space Station was destroyed in a terrific fireball shortly after liftoff from Wallops Island, Virginia. The Orbital Sciences Antares rocket appeared to suffer an engine explosion while just a few hundred meters off the ground. The rocket sank back down near the pad amid a huge eruption of flame. The company is under contract with NASA for 8 missions to carry supplies to the station. The Antares was flying the 3rd Cygnus cargo module under that contract, and it was carrying over 2 metric tons of food, science experiments, and other items including 28 CubeSats to be deployed into orbit from the ISS. Though the explosion looked devastating, Inspections of the launch pad actually found only minor structural damage and not a great deal of damage to the equipment. An investigation is underway to determine what exactly caused the failure. The initial diagnosis is that a turbopump on one of the engines failed. The company says it will no longer use the Russian engines, which are about 40 years old but refurbished. They have selected a new propulsion system for the first stage and it will fly in 2016. In the meantime, they will buy flights for Cygnus modules on other rockets. There is little danger of the station running low on supplies due to the launch failure. The station currently has sufficient supplies to last several months. NASA has a second contract for resupply services with SpaceX, which is scheduled to send a Dragon module to the station in December. In addition, Russian Progress cargo vessels continue to go to the station regularly. In fact, a Progress with 3 tons of cargo launched just a day after the Antares explosion and docked with the station a few hours later. During the week of these two disasters there were also 2 positive events in U.S. commercial space flight. On October 25, a SpaceX Dragon returned successfully from orbit for a splashdown in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. That morning it had left the International Space Station where it had been berthed since September. It had delivered 2.5 tons of supplies and equipment to the station and it returned to Earth with a load of scientific materials from experiments in microgravity. The Dragon is currently the only spacecraft that can return significant amounts of cargo from the station. And on October 29, the day after the Antares disaster, an Atlas V rocket launched successfully from Cape Canaveral with a GPS satellite for the U.S. Air Force. The Atlas V is a commercial rocket designed by Lockheed Martin. The launches are carried out by the United Launch Alliance, a joint venture of Lockheed Martin and Boeing. Boeing designed the Delta V rocket, another commercial launch system whose market is primarily U.S. military payloads. On November 12, the European Space Agency's Rosetta spacecraft will release the Comet Lander for a touchdown onto the surface of Comet 67P. Rosetta has maneuvered into its proper orbit for the release of the lander onto the giant double-humped object. Amazing pictures of the comet have been transmitted from Rosetta, which will tag along with the comet as it goes around the Sun. It should be even more spectacular to see the close-up pictures from the lander. Space exploration fans from around the world will be watching the dramatic event via the webcast. On October 23, a Chinese Long March 3 rocket set the Chang'e 5T1 spacecraft on a course around the Moon. The goal of this flight was to test re-entry techniques for a mission in 2017 to return samples from the lunar surface. This test probe circled the Moon, came back towards Earth and re-entered the atmosphere on October 31. The probe was recovered after it successfully landed in Inner Mongolia. A small secondary payload on the rocket was a European spacecraft that became the first privately financed mission launched with the intention of going around the Moon. Lux Space, a Luxembourg subsidiary of the German company OHB, built the small Zot as a tribute to the late founder of OHB, Manfred Fuchs. The Manfred Memorial Moon Mission, or 4M, successfully circled the Moon, transmitting messages on amateur radio bands to hams around the world. On its return, the spacecraft avoided hitting the atmosphere and remains active and in a long elliptical orbit. That ends this month's show. Join us again next month for the latest news from the frontiers of space exploration and commercial space flight. I'm Amanda Bush. Good night and ad astra.
Bus Holy sh!
Oh my god!
Gee!
Yeah, Alex. Come on. Come on.